Pasha Paroh, wide at 7. Thank you for tuning. So, I remember when I came to Charlotte. Now, I'm from Delaware. I've been down here going on 9 years. And I remember when I came here, even before I moved here, I saw what looked like a cop car with the word sheriff on it. And that excited me about this part of what many of you call the United States of America. And I'll tell you why. Because there was an article recently regarding Charlotte. And I thought it'd be good to share the article with you and go over a couple pointers real quick. All right. So, coming from up north in Delaware, we had the sheriff's office, but we were looking for Wilmington Police Department, Newcastle County Police Department, Delaware River and Bay for the Delaware Memorial Bridge, because if you lived on Cash Ave or Newcastle Avenue right there, they had a little bit of area they could patrol too. Then you had the state police, right? The sheriff was out of, they were in the office. They kind of have them hidden, their whole department's like out of sight. So to see them down here active, it was exciting. No, I'm not really a fan of any of rules and regulations type stuff. But what it showed me was, for those who know, the sheriff is the authority per America for the locality. The police, for your entertainment purposes only, conduct business for the United States. They have jurisdiction over United States citizens. So to see that they were both active, I'm not saying equally as large in number, but equally as active in comparison to where I'm from, was quite refreshing. And the article I'm going to show you today, secretly hidden in plain sight, showcases why some of y'all that's watch the channel just so that they can talk shit and ridicule don't like me, right? And it's also going to reinforce why others that watch this channel, either because they know certain things or they wish to know more and learn more, enjoy. So let's get to it. All right. Here's the article. Those are not the articles. That is the definitions we're going to review shortly. Give me 1 second. So here's the articles. Okay. CMPD explains why it's sticking with low-level traffic stops. And to understand, this is like a follow-up. Matter of fact, here, I'll just read it. I think it goes over how we got here in the beginning. So Charlotte, North Carolina, one day after the Mecklenburg County Sheriff, right, announced changes to the department's traffic stop policy. So one day after the Mecklenburg County sheriff announced changes to the department's traffic stop policy, the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department says it is sticking with its policy of regulatory traffic stops. I think for many of you, that right there will summarize much. How, if they were the same, and if they represented the same body, the same governing rule system, how could one state, we're not going to be concerned with that, and another say this is what they live and die to do? You got to ask yourself that question first for your entertainment. This is solely entertainment, people. We just reading words, having a reaction. I know you got reaction videos out there doing 1 million views where they watch someone dunk and they jump out the chair and, you know, it gets 1 million views, or they watch someone prank their mother or their significant other and they laugh for 10 seconds and you're wondering why those people don't notice stuff. Don't worry about why they don't notice stuff. Don't concern yourself with why the prank video that does nothing for society has 10 million views. Just worry about the fact that you're here now and you're going to be able to make a difference tomorrow. You got to ask yourself, going back to the article, if they represented the same body, governing body, or the same laws, quote unquote, or the same anything, how could there be such a divide in purpose? Right? Okay. So CMPD said they are a crucial investigative tool for vehicle safety and crime management. So those that's been on the channel, you've seen the video we done on traffic, on driver's license. You've seen with your own eyes here, if nowhere else, the review of the United States Code as it defines what a vehicle is. You may or may not have one. You may think you have one and not have one. But that's why this is an amazingly entertaining puzzle for those who like puzzles. So CMPD said that they are a crucial, and of course they're talking about the traffic stops, regulatory traffic stops. So they are a crucial investigative tool for vehicle safety and crime management. CMPD said the overall number of traffic stops performed by officers over the past 5 years has declined, with the exception of speeding enforcement. Around 37% of stops in 2021 were due to speeding, which is up from 25%, of stops in 2017. Equipment and regulatory stops accounted for 43% of stops in 2021 and around 41% of stops in 2022. More than 70% of regulatory stops resulted in verbal and written warnings for equipment or regulatory issues this year. More than 70% of regulatory stops resulted in verbal and written warnings for equipment or regulatory issues this year. Excuse me. So on Monday, Mecklenburg County Sheriff Gary McFadden, said its department will no longer stop vehicles for low-level violations, such as expired tags. Now listen to this list and go back and watch the video on YNet 7. The videos related to traffic, related to driver's license, and you formulate your own opinion based off of what you see for entertainment. On Monday, Mecklenburg County Sheriff Gary McFadden said its department will no longer stop vehicles for low-level violations such as expired tags, broken taillights, illegal window tint, or revoked licenses. You know? I mean, those who know, right? Because when you're talking to someone and you say, hey, look, I don't need a driver's license to operate an automobile. I only need it to operate in commerce. And people would be like, oh, you're crazy, something's wrong with you. That now parallels right here from the sheriff. See, this is why there's a difference between the police and the sheriff. Because what they're saying is they're not concerned with such things as expired tags. Oh, Pasha, why you think you don't need to have registration? I mean, you don't need to. It might be a bit of a headache to be pulled over every, 5 days. But once we get, I see a time in this fictional place, in this imaginary world, where everyone would have the time to really fight these battles a certain way. I mean, a lot of us are too quote unquote busy, right? We're too busy to learn this stuff. We're too busy to listen to the people trying to help us with it. And then when it's time to do something with it, we're too busy to do it. So they just hire a lawyer. They get an attorney. Someone that tells them they can't talk, they don't know what they're talking about. They like that shit. They like being told they don't know nothing. That's why they tell you you don't know what you're talking about. Because someone with the suit and tie told them they didn't know what they was talking about. And they felt like because they didn't have a suit and tie on, that meant that person with the suit and tie on must know more than they do, right? So they looking at you like, well, you don't got a suit and tie on either. So you must not know what you're talking about either. So I'm just going to, right, go ahead and pay this attorney. I mean, you got people that have, because I know you guys here into this knowledge somewhat, some way, and some level. So whether it's emotional, whether it's the UCC code, USC code, civil resource manual, whatever it is, I know you guys are into some of this stuff. And when you've all had experiences when you try to share with people, how'd that go? The good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So, but this is what happens. This is why I enjoy, and I was saying to people when I first got down here, y'all need to come here, right? Let's go back to this article. So, no longer concerned with things such as expired tags, broken tail lights, illegal window tint, or revoked licenses. So the sheriff's office says the primary reason for a traffic stop will now focus primarily on speeding, reckless driving offenses, or offenses that could cause bodily harm, which there's still some room for improvement, because are those even really crimes? technically, if you're driving, then reckless driving is citable. But if they thought you were driving and you weren't, then reckless driving may not apply to you. I mean, I just know words, and that seems like it could be oxymoronic. It may not apply to everyone when you think they do. But if we look at the total list here and start up here, which is probably even more, I know there's more. But we just look at the total list here: expired tags, broken taillights, legal window tint, or revoked license, and then just keep going and say speeding, reckless driving offenses, or offenses that could cause bodily harm. I mean, it kind of did just get rid of half the list. So, it's progress. However, like it stated, Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department says, no, we want all the money. We want all the citations. Why? Because that's what they're there for. Because they're generating revenue like a business, because they're part of a business. It would be funny, right? So let's look at these words real quick. So on the left, I have country, okay? And this is from the Black's Law Dictionary, 1933. 1933 Black's Law Dictionary, 3rd edition, right? Country is defined as the portion of the Earth's surface occupied by an independent nation or people or the inhabitants of such territory. So country is the portion of Earth's surface. All right. And then if you look at county, which is right below it, it's one of the civil divisions of a country. So country is a port. To get to why I'm saying that, you gotta say, oh, can countries overlap each other? Can they overlap? Because when you look at a map, you just see lines and then you see borders. So now you can see why the sheriff will be riding down patrol in the same street as the police for different reasons and purposes. Well, let's just say for different source. So when you look at police, what does it say police is in the Black's Law Dictionary itself? It states that police is the function of that branch of the administrative machinery of government which is charged with the preservation of public order and tranquility. The promotion of the public health, safety, and morals, and the prevention, detection, and punishment of crimes. But the key word with all that is public. See? You got to know what the word public means. Let's get back to this. So when you look at the sheriff, right? In American law, the sheriff is the chief executive and administrative officer of a county. The chief executive administrative officer are in the aid of the criminal courts and civil courts of record process, summoning juraments, holding judicial sales, and the like. He is also the chief conservative chief in the county. Bam, chief. That means the police is down here somewhere. Right? And the sheriff, chief, right? And police, we done it. Because they think something. It's a perfect article to show, because they don't tell you not to know this. They just don't tell you it exists. Excuse me. One major reason for the change in policy is to reduce racial disparity and profiling. The Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office presented statistics at a news conference that shows a black person is 95% more likely to be stopped by police than a white person in North Carolina. Now, I remember doing videos, making posts, right? That said, you know, when someone got shot and then everybody wanted to march. You know,